13 Visions of Death. The 13th card of the Tarot Major Arcana. We have Death. For today's video, I will do something a little different. I'll do it this way, recording for a change. See how that goes. And we'll just go through 13 cards of Death from various tarot decks. Now, I wonder where the focal point is for this. It does say Death there, but you can see the art fairly clearly there. This first one is from the Thoth Aleister Crowley deck. Really gorgeous in a sense that it's really animate. The shape, the figure, it looks like Death is playing a musical instrument. We've got these spheres, these baubles of life, of embryos, of potential that may exist into something or may not. So this is a really, really gorgeous, one of my favourite depictions of Death in the tarot. And it's really nice. Card number 1. Well, yeah, sure. I suppose depictions you will see oftentimes a skeletal figure, the bones, the bare bones of things. Death is an interesting one. It can mean specifically death of a physical being. It can also just be a process of letting go of something, changing a habit, moving house, changing jobs, etc. End of a relationship. Like death is just like an ending, and something else oftentimes will follow from that. So it isn't always as heavy or literally to be taken as an omen of physical death. Oftentimes it can be seen as a transitory space to be navigated, the end of something and the beginning of something else. I'll move to another card now. Very, very nice one. This one is from the Shadowscapes deck, and we have a phoenix and brilliant colours. And I went through the whole deck of this, and I think there's only one other card that has this amount of goldenness and light within it. So really, really interesting choices in the art and depictions of death. And here we see the phoenix, which is a symbolism of not only death, but rebirth, new life, life from the ashes. So a really, really fantastic, gorgeous depiction. So light and colourful and playful. So sort of a meaning within it is to embrace sometimes those things of letting go, or what may seem like deaths or falling apart or whatever, in the trust that new things will grow and new forms do take shape from these processes. And this is such a wonderful, exquisitely expressed version of it. And I do apologise if the cards are a little bit blurry within this. I am operating off just a cheap phone to record these videos at present. Next card is really nice. I'll show you the back of it as well. This is from a tarot deck called the Everyday Witch. Quite simple, quite stylized, but very, very lovely expressed. Here we see, and I think the cats are quite commonly featured within this tarot deck. We see death, and we see doorways behind. Kind of symbolism here of the cord of one's life potentially being cut, smoke, a candle being put out. But also one door closed, another door opens. and a really nice death, like an anonymous, a kind of just a acceptance of a part of life, the only guarantee of life, and hints of the exploration of the beyond. That if we're bold, if we wish to, maybe if we have faith, maybe for a sense of security, a lot of us will have a belief system about life beyond. And they can be very different and very varied, but they're very, very common. And many people who have had near-death experiences will come back very changed and will report certain things. And there's no shortage of literature exploring concepts around life after death, or life after death, and it's may not necessarily be a life as we imagine it, or pertain to what we view life as now, and I would say hopefully not, but something different, but a version of a continuation of consciousness in other forms, in other ways, in other places as well. And I've organised all these cards roughly in dimensional shapes from smallest to largest. And here's another wonderful depiction of death from, what is it called? So many boxes of tarot out. Tarot in Wonderland. Here we have Alice blowing out a candle. And within Alice in Wonderland, she muses, this is in the text, she muses about, like, what is a flame look like when it's gone out. And she has to say, oh, well, I can't ever remember seeing that. So she can't quite comment. And what else do we have here? The poisons, the things that can potentially kill us out of curiosity. But musing on or expressing on the unknownness, in that at times in life we have to live with an unknown of what is beyond, whether it be just a choice down the road, the future, the other side of life. And I do really like this. It's a really nice sort of portrayal of death. Very ghostly. All these cards look a little bit out of focus and a bit ghostly, but it is what it is, so we're making do with that. Moving on to, again, I haven't shown some of the backs of these cards. This one is the Tarot of the Abyss. I think it's quite fitting and nice to show some of the backs, like the back side of the tapestry of life. The other sides to things. Exquisite representation here of roots and a tree and the cosmos, and a feminine depiction of, could argue, a feminine depiction of death with the cloak above it all. I really, really like that. Again, tree of life, a tree, the growth patterning that continues. Whether it be what we leave behind after we die, inheritance, which can be taken in many ways, not necessarily wealth or estate-wise. It could be ancestors' children. It could just be the impact of a legacy one leaves through some art, through just their beingness of being with others in this world, in this life. I think that's really nicely portrayed here. Tower of the Abyss, a really, really nice deck as well. Next card. I totally understand this portrayal. This is the Amanita muscaria mushroom, or toadstool as many people will call them, which is a bit of a derogatory term. But yeah, uses traditionally in old shamanic cultures, associations with reindeer. There's books and theories proposing that the concept of Santa Claus is very much connected to this mushroom, used in shamanic cultures, but also been rumoured at times to be used in warfare, potentially, that altered states can unshackle one from normal senses of, how would I put it? Normal senses of behaviour. And these mushrooms are quite toxic. There is potentiality to kill oneself when ingesting them. There is a lot of poison in the bottom part, the bulb and the stem. So if one is to experiment with this, the caps are generally the parts you wish to be indulging in. I myself haven't personally used this mushroom in an ingested way. They are also known as fly agaric as well, and I do remember reading up about them as a way to deal with flies, another oftentimes associated symbol animal to do with death. If you get a cap and pour milk into the cap, pick it, turn it upside down, pour milk into the cap, and leave it in a saucer in a room, flies will come and gravitate towards it and drown in the milk. I have used that before for that, and it was quite effective. Interesting choice of representation for death as well. And a lot of times, I guess, some psychoactive plants will push one to brinks of perceived death, whether that be ego, whether that be aspects of self. Very commonly reported experiences on various psychoactive substances. Now, that's enough on that one. Moving to the Night Sun Tarot. I'll have a little peek here at the back of here. Very webby, geometric. This one, again, is a brilliant, wonderful portrayal of death as a fecund, feminine figure. From death, there is life, life and death, same sides of a coin, of a symbol. Really, really wonderful. A lot of birth, goddess Gaia, fertility gods also had an aspect of death to them. They were dualistic gods. They dealt with both elements in a lot of traditional systems. And if anybody is fascinated about histories of cultures and belief systems and even rituals around deities and worship, I'd recommend reading The Golden Bough. It talks a lot about the dualistic aspects of life and death. It's a fantastic written account of many, many cultures and beliefs throughout the world. So I'm still yet to finish my copy. It can be quite lengthy, but it is a very, very fascinating book. I can't really say too much more about this card except it's great. It's wonderful. I thoroughly enjoy Night Sun Tarot. Has some exquisite imagery in it, and brings a lot to musings on particular cards. Yeah, it's a good one. Now to the Rider-Waite Tarot, which is quite commonly seen as the traditional, or a very traditional tarot representation. I'd say along with the Marseille deck, but that's more of a French culture, which isn't as well understood or represented in an English-speaking world. It's more the Rider-Waite Tarot symbolism, and they are quite different. So we see death carrying a flag with a flower on it, which is quite nice, but also a kind of Hierophant type figure, almost welcoming death in as an agent, as a necessary agent for yeah, for spirituality, for any official recognised post of things. It needs to be understood as a welcome visitor, and I quite like that sort of portrayed here within this card. So this is more the traditional symbolism you'll see in a lot of tarots or variants that are based off the Rider-Waite deck. And, oh, did I do it? No, here's the back of that particular deck, or this version of it. Now, one of my favourite decks here. The Hush Tarot. We have Death as a bird and a nest and some eggs. So again, it's kind of talking about the process of death giving life, of needing to take something to make something. And you'll see this bird has taken some more material to build the nest, to nurture life, to give to new generations. And I think that is a very needed and necessary perspective when we think about death as well. And it's just a gorgeously expressed tarot deck. Hush Tarot, so much animal symbolism, wonderfully done. Very, very nice. And from, I think this one's the Wildwood Tarot. We have some lovely trees as well, mirrored as well, which is really, really nice. More birds. Which is really nice, and the pickings of bones. Again, the kind of allusion to the necessity of death for eating, for things being used, not going to waste, is nicely expressed here. Lovely birds, very, very nice. And deck I haven't shown before, but I've been quite keen to. The Kitchen Tarot is what it's called. It's just a small deck of the 22 major arcana. Here's the back of it. Now, these were, I believe, 3 metre to possibly 8 metre large paintings that took a really long time to create. They've been reduced down into a small series of the major arcana, and here we have the Kitchen Tarot. We have death as the compost pot, which is really beautiful. It's what else would you choose it? Our wastes, our excess, our non-consumable parts, or parts we don't get around to, that get lost, get intentionally discarded, go somewhere, are of use, are of value to fertilizing other things. And yeah, I'd love to see some of these big paintings, so I'll try and check out where they may be able to be viewed on display, because you'll note within the card there is so much text written, and even on the backs as well, there's just oodles and oodles of text in there. But yeah, this deck is very cool, very fun, very playful, very colourful. Yeah, quite a joy to see, and yeah, quite nice to have a deck that is only the major arcana as well, as something sort of different. Almost there. We now have another one I haven't shown anything from yet, but this is the William Blake Tarot. Illustrations of William Blake realised into a tarot deck. Goldy gilt edges, which is quite a nice addition. This one wonderful, wonderful piece is called Transformation. Yeah, death is a process of transformation, maybe for many viewed as the surrendering of the physical realm, embodiment within, to exist in other realms. On the larger scale, or just transformation, like one has a goal, has a desire, has a place, a destination, a dream they wish realized, and recognizing the necessity of aligning with that can be a transformative process. You have to invest, you have to undergo. So again, death reimagined as an active process, an active living process to acquire new forms, new skills, new knowledge. And part of that is putting in effort and work, and part of that is letting go of things that may hold one back from realization of these other things. So wonderfully expressed there. And to wrap it up with Alchemical Visions, which, here we go, there's the back face. This is such a lovely, lovely deck. Yeah, I mean, I haven't necessarily looked at this one too long. You've got time. You've got meditations on time. You've got, meditations on mortality. I love the sort of skeleton pose. It's like, it's quite, is a thinking death. Also noted just on the edge here is the sun, which you'll also see. I think that's common from the Rider-Waite Tarot. Again, the slight allusion to light after dark, new life continuing in a form and a format. And that was number 13, and that was death, doing its dance as it does. And that was the video. So I hope you enjoyed, and onwards to card number 14, which, yeah. From memory is a card many will see and go, oh no, if I am remembering it right. Oh no, that's 16. But anyway, it'll be a surprise for me what number 14 is. But yeah, death as a card can seem quite scary. Can seem a bit full on. There's some cards that get a bit of a reputation, or people are hesitant or reluctant to engage in as a concept, as a thought, as a teacher, as a guide. But they're all of necessity. They're all of a point, of a purpose, and yeah. And as much as I do have a jovial edge to talking about tarot, and I really enjoy that, there is some real serious heavy aspects to living, to being alive, things that we will face, things that will visit us, things that exist around us. And tarot can be a real for me as a practitioner, tarot can be quite intense to engage with in an official sense as a reader for somebody who was going through some really difficult stuff and times and situations within their life. But it's still a guide. It's still a guide which says we have chances, we have possibilities, we have choices to make, even within some of the denser, darker, heavier stuff that visits us. And it's not a escapist way of pretending everything's going to be alright. It's not a gloss over. It's actually a tool to channel into where things are at and offer advice and some guidance of helping navigate through things. And most people who will ask for a tarot reading or look for one are looking for some counsel through some difficult things. Looking for validation outside of themselves that they're making a good choice, or wondering even what choices are possible within some situations within their lives. And yeah, it's a valuable service that I love doing and love learning about myself, and yeah, we'll continue to do. So thank you, and have a good day, weekend as it may be, and yeah, look forward to doing the next video. Cheers.